afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Bay Pass Weekly Football Show with Coach Giampa, where we get a chance to dig in a little bit about football and, more importantly, about the trajectory of our team. My name is Dean Packard, top principal of Bay Pass, and I do have Coach Giampa alongside me. Coach, great to see you as always. How is everything going in the world of Bay Pass football?
Everything's good. We've been working hard. We've had a good week of practice, so we're ready to get going.
That's awesome. Hey, great game last week. Moving your record now, I believe, to 4-0 with the win over Monty Tech on the road. Anytime you take your student athletes away for that 45-minute ride, you never know what's going to happen. But once again, the preparation you guys put in really set the stage for another strong performance. So why don't we start off this week's show talking a little bit about your thoughts on that particular game and how that has helped move you the next level forward.
Yeah, again, I thought defense and special teams, I thought really played well again. We've been emphasizing those things a lot, and I thought our defense came to play. I mean, again, Monty Tech's offense it can be challenging with some of the schemes that they do, some of the QB run concepts that they have with all the motions and jet motions and things like that. So I thought our defense played really well, holding them to 6 points. And that 6 points was kind of our fault. So, or kind of the offense's fault. So, I was very impressed with our defense. I think those kids are playing hard. Again, we have, 5, 6, 7 kids making every tackle, which is great to see. They're flying around and giving a ton of effort on every play. So, that from that standpoint, I was very impressed with how we played. And then again, special teams making big plays again, taking that part of the game seriously. So, those things were all good to see.
Yeah, once again, I like watching the opportunity for multiple faces and players to get involved. It was nice to see the ball, being handled by a bunch of different people, some different play calling, and it was just good to see. And it was great. It was just a good night overall for everybody to kind of take a step forward and have an opportunity to get their chances. I mean, as a coach, and again, lopsided wins don't always help. But I can tell you this, when you're looking at your systems in place and what you're running for plays, it was a great time to work on efficiency.
Yeah, I thought, offensively, yeah, we had, I think, 6 different people score, which is good. And again, we emphasize to the kids all the time, that's not really what we're trying to do. We're not trying to get, it's not a charitable organization where we're trying to get every kid his moment or things like that. We're calling the plays that are there offensively, and then it's the job of the kids to execute it. And again, we talk all the time with our offense that, some nights are your night, some night might be somebody else's night, but you got to, whatever your role is that night, that's what the team's asking you to do, and you have to be able to execute your role for everyone to be successful. And sometimes that means you're not going to get the ball, sometimes that means you are going to get the ball, but if you're somebody who concerns yourself with that, then when you get your opportunities, you got to give coaches a reason to give you the ball again, or put the ball in your hands again. So I thought everybody, I thought for the most part, we did a good job. And then we just call the plays that are there. So, it's not about, we never sit there on the headsets and say, hey, why don't we get this kid a touchdown or that kid a touchdown? Because if you start thinking like that, that's how you get beat. And that's how you get, into bad situations. What's the defense giving you? Where is your numbers advantage? Where do you have advantage in terms of players? And then, you execute what you can execute. So in terms of the distribution, it was kind of a fluke game, but at the same time, it was nice to see, these kids all work hard. So it's good to see that they, that the fruits of their labor get to be, get to go out there and do what they need to do. So, it's exciting for them. I'm excited about that.
I love that. So, you're creeping up on the halfway point of the season. It's one of those things where you have a chance to reflect. And did you see yourself sitting right here at 4-0? Did you think that was something that was attainable to start off the year? And just some things the thoughts that go through the head coach's head.
Yeah, I don't think that way. We're just worried about winning one game at a time. I probably focus too much in short bursts. I just worry about having the best practice that we can have that day, and then putting the best game plan together that we can put together when that time comes. And then, taking every game as it comes, because you can't, if you start looking ahead and if you start worrying about like, are we gonna, where are our good games, where are our bad games, it's like, who's to say any game is an easy game or any game is a hard game? They're all hard. You have 11 kids that you need to do the same thing and execute, and then you have 11 kids on the other side of the ball that are trying to stop you from executing, and then defensively it's the same thing. So you can't, I don't think we operate that way where we're trying to figure out like, look, peeking ahead at the schedule, who's, who we can beat and who we can't beat. I think every opponent we play is pretty good. I have a lot of respect for the teams that we play, and it's sport. If you're looking ahead, you only get one opportunity a week. It's not like other sports where you're playing multiple games a week. You only get one a week. So, I think you got to focus on each practice and having the best practice you can have, not wasting the opportunities that you have to be effective, and just working as hard as you can. And then those, the games are fun, but those things kind of take care of themselves if you're doing all the other little things right. So
yeah, fundamentally, I think you're spot on. Every practice, every time for you have an opportunity to grow and learn the system and continue to get what we call that peak performance out of our players. That's where you win. Just like a great teacher in the classroom, every lesson counts, and that leads to the bigger picture at the end and the optimal learning and the optimal growth. So great job right there with that answer, and it's exactly what I thought you would say. So I do appreciate that, Coach. So let's talk a little bit about tomorrow night's game, Narragansett. It's got a few, we'll call it good points to it because of the fact that not only are they a 4-0 team, there's some history there at Narragansett. And can you talk a little bit about, that their team, what they're all about, and how you look to prepare for them specifically?
Yeah, nobody's 4-0 by accident. You don't win. In any sport, you don't win games by accident. So, the fact that you're halfway through the regular season and you're undefeated, they're a really good team, and they've, in 3 of their 4 games, they're blowing people out, by 40 or more points. So they certainly present a unique challenge. Offensively, they run almost 2 completely different offenses. They have the double tight, double wing, which our Charlton Dudley people will know very well. And then on the other side of that, they run a spread offense, which is more like what you might see in Spencer or places like that. So, defensively, it's a challenge. And then, for us offensively, their defense, they're big. They have some very big kids. They're very physical. And they know our offense. They don't run it anymore, but this is a team and a coaching staff that is intimately familiar with what we do and what we're trying to do. So it's going to come down to execution. They're going to have a great game plan. And we're going to have to, come up with some things, and we're going to have to out execute them, on a player by player basis in order to be successful. So, it's an exciting game. I think anytime you get undefeated teams playing each other, again, especially at this point in the season, you can't go 4-0 by accident. So I think anytime you can get teams like that competing at a high level, it's going to be a fun game.
Let's talk about key matchups for a second and where you see the leadership of your squad this year to be able to be, to put themselves in a position to be successful. What do you think are the key matchups?
I think it's going to come down to our lines. Our offensive line against their defensive line, whether they're using, their base defense uses 4 guys, or if they decide to use 5 or 6 guys against us like they did last year. And then, our defensive line against their offensive line. We're going to have to win those matchups up front, creating avenues and alleys for our backs and our quarterback and safeties and things and players like that to come down and make plays. But yeah, I think it's gonna come down to those 2 groups, the offense and defensive line. And I don't mean that clichély. I really think that those, I think if we, I think it's going to come down. I think the game's in those kids' hands. We have to be able to block them up front. They do a lot of things that are challenging, a lot of stunting, slanting, lining up in different spots. So the communication's got to be there. And then the execution, knowing what your job is, who you have, or what lane you have on different plays. That's going to be important. And then defensively, they're going to be very physical. They crowd the box with as many linemen as they can have, and we're going to have to, match their physicality and create, havoc in their backfield. So I think it's going to come down to the lines.
No, I love that. And I'll tell you what, you've never shied away from a challenge. I love the fact that we have these teams that are similar in record and a lot on the line for both teams. There's no doubt about it. But again, it's one snap at a time, as you've always said. You take the most of everything you have in front of you. Well, there you have it, guys. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. at Narragansett. Coach, any final words?
Yeah, I know it seems like it's been all away so far. This is our last away game in the regular season. So, the support has been outstanding. Again, last week at Monty Tech, I think our stands were full on our side of the field. And that makes a huge difference to the kids. It really does. When the kids know that they're supported, when they know that they have a community behind them that cares about what they're doing and is there to support them. That makes a huge difference. So if we can get it one more time, it's a little bit of a further trip out to Baldwinville, Mass, which is, out left in the middle of nowhere. But, that if we can get one more, then we're home for the rest of the regular season. And we always have great crowds here. So it means a ton to the kids to have that support. It doesn't go unnoticed. The kids, they play differently when their family and friends and people are there supporting them. So if we can get, one more ride with the fans out to the middle of nowhere, that would be great.
Well, there it is right there, everybody. Hey, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Narragansett, 2 4-0 teams going at each other. Hope you guys can get there and be there to support our team once again. Coach, thank you very much. Best of luck, as always, to you and the guys and the coaching staff, and we'll be there on the sidelines to cheer you on.
Awesome.